The first contact was nothing like anyone had imagined. There were no dramatic explosions, no immediate laser battles, or apocalyptic destruction. Instead, the arrival of the Zorlaxian fleet was almost mathematically precise, a cold, calculated descent that spoke volumes about the alien civilization's nature. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the observation deck of the International Research Center, her fingers tracing the reinforced glass as massive crystalline ships positioned themselves in Earth's orbit. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering that defied human understanding. They were not mere machines, but seemed to be living entities, organic and technological fusion, that pulsed with an inner light of impossible complexity. The global communication networks erupted into a frenzy of activity. Military command centers, scientific installations, and government facilities around the world shifted into high alert status. Satellite feeds captured the breathtaking sight of ships that seemed to shimmer between solid matter and pure energy, their surfaces reflecting and refracting light in patterns that human eyes struggle to comprehend. A transmission arrived, not through traditional radio waves, but as a direct neural frequency communication that simultaneously reached every digital display and communication device on the planet. The message was clinical, precise, and utterly devoid of emotion. Inhabitants of planetary designation E784, your current technological and social development has been assessed. Your civilization is deemed non-critical and will be integrated into the Zorlaxian Confederacy. Resistance is mathematically improbable. Prepare for systematic reorganization. In research centers across the globe, scientists and analysts began their initial studies. The transmission was a puzzle, a complex linguistic and technological challenge that both terrified and excited the world's top minds. Dr. Rodriguez knew something the initial panic didn't reveal. Humanity had always been underestimated. Throughout history, every time someone proclaimed the impossibility of human achievement, someone else had proven them wrong. This moment would be no different. In Beijing, a team of quantum physicists began analyzing the transmission's underlying frequency patterns. In Lagos, advanced communication specialists worked to decode the subtle nuances of the alien language. In Sao Paulo, a group of neural network experts started mapping the transmission's computational structure. The world was not frozen in fear, it was preparing. Military strategists quickly realized that traditional defense concepts would be useless. These were not conventional invaders. The Zorlaxian ships suggested technologies that made human military hardware look like primitive toys. Tanks, fighter jets, and naval vessels seemed laughably inadequate against ships that could potentially shift between dimensional states. But humans had something the Zorlaxians could not calculate: adaptability. Young programmers began developing communication analysis algorithms. Linguists collaborated to understand the alien language's underlying logic. Psychologists started mapping potential alien thought processes. Every discipline became a potential weapon, every human mind a potential strategic asset. Schools across the world transformed overnight. Educational broadcasts replaced regular programming, teaching critical thinking, basic technological adaptation, and collective problem-solving. Children who had grown up with video games, complex internet interactions, and rapid technological change were suddenly the frontline thinkers in humanity's first interstellar challenge. In underground research facilities, prototype technologies that had been considered too radical suddenly became critically important. Experimental quantum communication devices, adaptive artificial intelligence systems, and unconventional energy research moved from theoretical to potentially practical in moments. The Zorlaxians continued their orbital positioning, seemingly unaware that their arrival was not causing the paralysis they expected. Each moment they remained, humans were learning, adapting, preparing. Dr. Rodriguez turned to her team. Young researchers from diverse backgrounds, a quantum engineer from India, a neural network specialist from Canada, a communication expert from South Africa, represented humanity's true strength, not individual brilliance, but collaborative potential. They think they know us, she said quietly, a slight smile forming. But they have no idea what humanity can do when challenged. Outside, the alien ships continued their silent vigil, a mathematical precision that would soon discover the one variable they hadn't calculated: the unpredictable, adaptive, collaborative spirit of human beings. The first contact was just the beginning, and humanity was ready. The first hours of invasion were a symphony of unexpected human resilience. In Tokyo, a group of young network engineers transformed an abandoned data center into a global communication hub. Their average age was 24, and they moved with a precision that would have impressed military veterans. Screens flickered with complex algorithms, each line of code a potential weapon against the alien intrusion. Across the world, unexpected heroes emerged. Retired military personnel became strategic coordinators. Gamers who had spent years mastering complex virtual combat systems now found their skills unexpectedly relevant. The professional esports team from Seoul was quickly recruited to help develop drone control algorithms. Their muscle memory and split-second decision-making became a critical asset in human defense strategies. In a small workshop in Brazil, Maria Oliveira, a mechanical engineer who had previously designed innovative agricultural machinery, began modifying industrial robots. Her team worked around the clock, converting manufacturing equipment into potential defensive mechanisms. They understood something fundamental. In a world under invasion, everything could be a tool of resistance. The Zorlaxian ships maintained their orbital positions, presumably waiting for human capitulation. Instead, they encountered a world transforming before their sensors. Every system was becoming adaptive, every network a potential defense mechanism. University research labs worldwide began sharing information at an unprecedented rate. Quantum computing teams in Germany collaborated with artificial intelligence experts in India. Communication specialists in Canada worked alongside neural network developers in South Africa. The global research network was becoming something far more than a simple information exchange. It was evolving into a collective intelligence. Military strategists quickly realized that traditional combat concepts were obsolete. These alien invaders possessed technologies that made human weapons look primitive, but humans had always excelled at turning limitations into opportunities. Every captured alien fragment became a learning opportunity, every technological challenge a puzzle to be solved. In San Francisco, a team of software developers created an adaptive communication algorithm designed to analyze and potentially decode the alien transmission patterns. What began as a theoretical exercise quickly became a critical tool of resistance. They understood that communication was the first battlefield, and language could be as powerful as any weapon. Young students became unexpected heroes. In schools across the globe, emergency educational broadcasts taught critical thinking, technological adaptation, and collective problem-solving. Children who had grown up with complex video games and rapid technological changes were suddenly the most valuable strategic assets. Underground research facilities suddenly found their most radical projects becoming critically important. Experimental quantum communication devices, adaptive artificial intelligence systems, and unconventional energy research moved from theoretical concepts to potential survival strategies. The global response was unlike anything the Zorlaxians could have predicted. Instead of fear or total surrender, they encountered a planet transforming itself. Cities became living organisms of resistance. Public spaces converted into communication centers. Community networks developed sophisticated information-sharing platforms that could rapidly adapt and respond. In New Zealand, a group of indigenous engineers combined traditional knowledge with cutting-edge technology. They understood ecosystem adaptation in ways that Western technological approaches often overlooked. Their insights proved crucial in developing defensive strategies that were as much about flexibility as they were about direct confrontation. Communication became a weapon. Artists created visual and auditory signals that contained hidden layers of information. Musicians developed complex sound patterns that could potentially disrupt alien communication frequencies. Every form of human creativity became a potential tool of resistance. The Zorlaxian ships continued their silent vigil, their sensors struggling to process the rapid transformations happening on the planet's surface. What they saw defied their computational models. This was not a civilization preparing for submission, but a complex, adaptive organism preparing to fight. Dr. Rodriguez watched the global response with a sense of profound pride. Humanity was not just resisting, it was reimagining itself. Every challenge was an opportunity, every limitation a chance for innovation. As night fell across different time zones, the world continued its transformation. Lights burned in research centers, community halls, and private workshops. The invasion had become something entirely unexpected, a global collaborative effort that transcended traditional boundaries of nation, profession, and age. The Zorlaxians had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, the collective potential of human creativity and determination. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in a makeshift communication laboratory that had once been a community college lecture hall. Surrounding her were linguists, psychologists, musicians, artists, and computer scientists, a team that defied traditional academic boundaries. Their mission was deceptively complex. Understand the fundamental communication patterns of the Zorlaxian invaders. Early analysis revealed something profound. The alien language was not just a method of communication. It was a rigid, mathematically precise system that left no room for nuance, emotion, or creative interpretation. Human language, in contrast, was a living, breathing entity. It was chaos and structure, emotion and logic, literal meaning and profound metaphor. Where the Zorlaxians saw communication as a perfect algorithmic exchange, humans saw it as an art form, a method of connection that transcended simple information transfer. In Buenos Aires, a team of poets began developing what they called linguistic disruption protocols. They analyzed the alien transmissions, identifying patterns and weaknesses. Poetry became a weapon, multi-layered messages that could simultaneously communicate and confuse, carrying meanings that would baffle the invaders' computational analysis. A group of jazz musicians in New Orleans discovered something remarkable: the improvisational nature of their music. The ability to create meaning through unexpected connections could be translated into communication strategies. They began developing sound patterns that carried multiple layers of information, creating auditory codes that would be incomprehensible to the linear thinking Zorlaxians. Street artists in Mumbai transformed city walls into complex communication canvases. Their murals were more than art. They were sophisticated information networks. Each piece contained hidden geometric patterns, color codes, and spatial relationships that could transmit critical information across the city. The psychological warfare team discovered the Zorlaxians' most significant vulnerability. The alien civilization had evolved in an environment of absolute predictability. Their entire social and technological structure was based on precise calculation and predetermined outcomes. Creativity was not just unknown to them. It was fundamentally incomprehensible. Underground resistance groups began sending deliberately complex, emotionally charged communications. They mixed languages, used cultural references, embedded multiple layers of meaning within single messages. To human receivers, these communications were clear. To the Zorlaxians, they were computational nightmares. A team of indigenous storytellers from various global communities became unexpected communication strategists. Their oral traditions, rich with metaphor, layered meaning, and adaptive storytelling, provided unique insights into communication beyond literal interpretation. They understood something fundamental about language that the aliens could not comprehend. Meaning is not just about words, but about context, emotion, and shared experience. In academic research centers, linguists worked alongside computer scientists to develop what they called emotional encryption. These were communication protocols that embedded emotional context into digital transmissions. The Zorlaxians' computational systems could not process emotional nuance, creating critical vulnerabilities in their communication networks. Video game designers contributed unique perspectives. Years of creating complex narrative experiences had taught them how to guide human perception, how to create meaning through indirect communication. They developed communication strategies that used narrative techniques to transmit critical information. Children became unexpected communication experts. Their ability to create complex imaginary worlds, to understand metaphor, to communicate through play. These were weapons the Zorlaxians could not comprehend. Schools transformed into training grounds for creative communication strategies. Dr. Rodriguez watched a transmission where a group of elementary school children had created an entire communication system using hand gestures, color combinations, and rhythmic movements. It was a language so complex and context-dependent that traditional translation would be impossible. The Zorlaxian command structure began to show signs of confusion. Their communication networks, designed for absolute precision, started to break down when confronted with human creativity. Each attempt to analyze human communication created more confusion, more computational complexity. What the invaders saw as a simple planetary conquest was transforming into a battle of communication itself. Humanity was not just resisting. It was redefining the very concept of language, of information exchange, of connection. As night fell across different time zones, communication centers around the world continued their work. Artists, scientists, musicians, children, elders, all became part of a global network of linguistic resistance. The invasion had become something the Zorlaxians could never have predicted. A war fought through creativity, emotion, and the profound complexity of human communication. The Zorlaxians had arrived expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves confronting the most unpredictable force in the universe, human imagination. The research facility in Bangalore looked more like a controlled chaos than a scientific laboratory. Dr. Marcus Chen stood at the center of a whirlwind of activity, surrounded by engineers, physicists, and computer scientists from every corner of the globe. Captured alien technology lay spread across multiple workstations, each fragment a puzzle waiting to be solved. What made human approach unique was not just technical skill, but an almost instinctive ability to reimagine. Where the Zorlaxians saw their technology as perfect and unchangeable, human researchers saw potential. Every alien device became an opportunity, every limitation a challenge to overcome. A team of materials scientists from Japan discovered something extraordinary about the alien ship fragments. The crystalline structures seemed to have a form of molecular memory that responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies. What the Zorlaxians considered a stable technology, humans saw as a dynamic system waiting to be reprogrammed. In a converted warehouse in Detroit, mechanical engineers worked alongside software developers to create hybrid technologies. An old industrial robotic arm, modified with fragments of alien communication systems, became something entirely new. It moved with a fluidity that seemed to defy traditional engineering principles, a perfect fusion of human creativity and alien technology. Quantum computing teams in Germany made a breakthrough that would change everything. By analyzing the alien communication networks, they developed a new approach to computational processing. Traditional binary systems gave way to multi-dimensional information transfer that mimicked and then exceeded the aliens' technological capabilities. University research labs around the world operated as a single distributed intelligence. A breakthrough in one facility was instantly shared, analyzed, and built upon by teams thousands of miles away. The global research network had become a living, breathing organism of innovation. Young technologists brought unprecedented perspectives. A group of teenage programmers in Kenya developed an adaptive algorithm that could interpret and modify alien communication protocols. Their approach was intuitive, breaking rules that traditional researchers would never have considered. The medical research teams made equally remarkable discoveries. Fragments of alien medical technology suggested entirely new approaches to human health. Nanotechnology researchers in Brazil began developing treatment protocols that could revolutionize medical care, using insights gained from the alien invasion. Energy research took a quantum leap forward. Scientists in Australia discovered that the alien ship fragments contained energy storage technologies that defied current human understanding. What seemed like a simple piece of advanced machinery became a key to potentially solving global energy challenges. Dr. Chen watched as a prototype device came to life. It was a fusion of human engineering and alien technology, something that could not have been conceived before the invasion. The device seemed to breathe with its own intelligence, adapting to the environment in ways that surprised even its creators. Communication specialists worked alongside quantum physicists to understand the deeper principles behind alien technology. They discovered that what the Zorlaxians considered advanced communication was actually a limited, highly structured system. Human communication, with its emotional depth and creative potential, became a technological advantage. In a small laboratory in New Zealand, a team of indigenous engineers brought traditional ecological knowledge into technological design. They understood systems as living, interconnected entities, an approach that proved crucial in understanding and adapting alien technologies. The global response was unprecedented. Every research facility, every university, every technical school had been transformed. Education became a frontline strategy. Students were no longer passive learners, but active participants in a global technological resistance. Experimental technologies that had been considered too radical suddenly became critically important. Quantum communication devices, adaptive artificial intelligence systems, and unconventional energy research moved from theoretical concepts to practical applications at an incredible pace. What the Zorlaxians had intended as a simple conquest had become a global technological renaissance. Humanity was not just defending itself. It was evolving, learning, transforming. As night fell across different time zones, research centers continued their work. Lights burned in laboratories, workshops, and makeshift research stations. The invasion had become a catalyst for human innovation, pushing the boundaries of what was considered possible. Dr. Chen looked at the prototype device, a perfect fusion of human creativity and alien technology. It was more than just a machine. It was a symbol of human potential, of the ability to take the unknown and transform it into something extraordinary. The Zorlaxians had come with technologies they believed were unbeatable. Instead, they had unleashed humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to reimagine, to turn challenges into opportunities. The invasion transformed more than just military and technological landscapes. It became a global cultural movement that touched every aspect of human society. In small villages and massive cities, people discovered a unity that transcended previous divisions of nationality, culture, and social status. Schools became more than educational institutions. They transformed into comprehensive survival and resistance training centers. Children learned not just traditional subjects, but critical thinking, adaptive strategy, and collaborative problem-solving. A 6th grade class in Mumbai developed a communication system using traditional dance movements that could transmit complex strategic information. In rural Kenya, elementary students created elaborate mapping systems that helped local resistance groups track alien movement patterns. Artists became unexpected warriors of resistance. Muralists in Sao Paulo created massive street art installations that contained hidden communication protocols. Musicians developed sound frequencies that could potentially disrupt alien communication systems. Writers crafted narratives that encoded strategic information, turning storytelling into a form of psychological warfare. In Buenos Aires, a group of theater performers developed immersive performance techniques that could simultaneously entertain, educate, and communicate critical resistance strategies. Their performances became living, breathing communication networks that could transfer information across communities in ways the aliens could never comprehend. Community centers transformed into strategic planning zones. Retired professionals found new purpose, sharing lifetimes of experience and problem-solving skills. a former automotive engineer in Detroit, developed innovative transportation modification techniques. A retired telecommunications specialist in Sydney created communication network strategies that became crucial to local resistance efforts. The global response was anything but uniform. Each community developed its unique approach to resistance. Indigenous communities in Australia used traditional tracking and survival skills to develop sophisticated resistance strategies. Mountain communities in Peru created communication networks that utilized complex terrain to their advantage. Coastal settlements developed marine-based resistance techniques that surprised even military strategists. Cultural traditions became unexpected weapons of resistance. Traditional storytelling became a method of preserving and sharing critical information. Native communities around the world found their ancient knowledge suddenly crucial. Their understanding of ecological systems, adaptive survival techniques, and complex communication methods proved invaluable. In Tokyo, a group of game designers created immersive training simulations that prepared civilians for potential conflict scenarios. What began as educational tools became sophisticated training programs that developed critical thinking and adaptive strategy skills across entire communities. The resistance was not just about fighting. It was about preserving and celebrating human diversity. Every culture, every community brought its unique perspective to the global response. A weaving cooperative in Guatemala developed textile communication systems. A group of street musicians in New Orleans created sound-based communication networks. Social media platforms transformed into sophisticated information sharing and coordination systems. What had previously been used for entertainment became critical communication infrastructure. Community groups developed encrypted communication methods that utilized complex cultural references and contextual information. Educational broadcasts replaced traditional programming. Children learned survival skills, critical thinking, and collaborative problem-solving. Technology classes became comprehensive survival training. Art classes explored creative communication strategies. Physical education transformed into adaptive strategy training. Religious and community leaders played crucial roles in maintaining social cohesion. They provided emotional support, strategic guidance, and helped communities maintain hope. Spiritual practices became methods of collective psychological resistance, providing emotional strength in challenging times. Local farming communities developed innovative agricultural adaptation strategies. They created hidden food production systems, developed advanced preservation techniques, and created sustainable food networks that could support resistance efforts. What seemed like simple agricultural knowledge became a critical survival strategy. The invasion had awakened something profound in human society. The artificial divisions that had previously separated people, national borders, cultural differences, social hierarchies, began to dissolve. A true global community emerged, united by a common purpose and an unbreakable spirit of resilience. Young people became unexpected leaders. Their adaptability, technological skills, and creative thinking proved crucial. They saw challenges as opportunities, limitations as chances for innovation. Their ability to rapidly learn, adapt, and collaborate became the most powerful weapon against the invasion. As night fell across different time zones, communities continued their work. Resistance was no longer just a military concept. It was a way of life, a global collaborative effort that touched every aspect of human society. The Zorlaxians had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves confronting the most complex, adaptive, and united species in the galaxy. Humanity was not just resisting. It was transforming, growing, becoming something entirely new. The first modified human battleship emerged from the orbital shipyard like a living testament to human ingenuity. It was neither completely human nor alien, a hybrid of captured technologies and unprecedented human creativity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched its maiden launch from the International Space Coordination Center, her breath catching in her throat. Engineers from 12 different countries had collaborated on its design. A propulsion system developed by a team in Shanghai merged with defensive technologies conceptualized by researchers in Cape Town. Communication arrays designed by a neural network specialist in Mumbai integrated seamlessly with energy management systems created by a team in Stockholm. The ship moved with a grace that defied traditional understanding of space travel. Where Zorlaxian vessels followed precise, predictable trajectories, this human craft seemed to dance through space, unpredictable, adaptive, alive with possibility. In the Communication Analysis Center, Dr. Marcus Chen and his team had been working tirelessly to decode and manipulate the alien command structures. They discovered that the Zorlaxian communication networks, while technologically advanced, were fundamentally rigid. Each transmission followed exact protocols, leaving no room for adaptation or unexpected input. Human communication specialists began developing what they called chaos protocols, communication strategies designed to introduce controlled unpredictability into the alien network. It was like inserting creative jazz improvisation into a mathematically precise classical composition. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of young programmers in Rio de Janeiro developed an adaptive algorithm that could introduce subtle variations into communication patterns. These variations were so nuanced that they would appear as minor statistical anomalies to the alien computational systems, but they created cascading disruptions in their communication networks. The first successful test came during a minor skirmish near the Moon's orbital range. The modified human ship approached a Zorlaxian patrol vessel using a communication pattern that was simultaneously a request for communication, a defensive maneuver, and a form of technological poetry. The alien vessel became momentarily confused, its rigid communication protocols unable to process the multilayer human approach. Global research centers celebrated, but they knew this was just the beginning. Each breakthrough was immediately shared across the global network. What worked in one encounter would be analyzed, improved, and distributed within hours. The entire planet had become a single adaptive research organism. Indigenous tracking teams from various global communities provided unexpected insights. Their traditional knowledge of complex ecological systems translated surprisingly well to space combat strategies. A group of Aboriginal Australian researchers developed approach techniques that used principles of collective movement observed in nature, creating combat strategies that were fundamentally incomprehensible to the linear-thinking Zorlaxians. The modified ships became more than military vessels. They were living laboratories, each mission an opportunity for learning and adaptation. Young space pilots trained in complex simulation environments that merged video game technologies with advanced strategic thinking. Their ability to make intuitive, split-second decisions became a critical advantage. Communication became a weapon more powerful than any physical technology. Human messages carried layers of meaning, emotional context, cultural references, adaptive possibilities that the Zorlaxians could not begin to comprehend. Where alien communication was a precise mathematical equation, human communication was a living, breathing entity. Energy research teams made critical discoveries about the captured alien technology. What the Zorlaxians saw as stable energy systems, humans saw as dynamic, adaptable resources. Researchers in New Zealand developed energy management techniques that could rapidly reconfigure power systems in ways the aliens had never anticipated. The global coordination was unprecedented. A research breakthrough in a small laboratory in Chile would be analyzed, adapted, and integrated into strategic approaches within hours. Military strategists worked alongside artists, linguists, and game designers. Every perspective became a potential strategic advantage. Dr. Rodriguez understood the deeper significance of their approach. This was not just about technological superiority. It was about a fundamentally different way of understanding existence, flexible, collaborative, constantly evolving. As the modified ship completed its first successful mission, cheers erupted in coordination centers around the world. It was more than a military victory. It was a statement about human potential. The Zorlaxians had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves confronting a species that could turn limitation into opportunity, confusion into strategy, technology into art. Humanity was not just fighting. It was reimagining the very concept of conflict, of communication, of existence itself. Earth's orbit transformed into a canvas of human determination. The final confrontation began not with a single massive battle, but with a complex, multi-layered strategy that defied every principle of warfare the Zorlaxians understood. The global defense fleet was unlike any military force in human history. Ships developed by different nations and cultures moved with an organic, collaborative precision. A vessel designed in Brazil integrated seamlessly with communication systems developed in South Korea. Defensive technologies from Nigeria worked in perfect harmony with propulsion systems created in Canada. Dr. Elena Rodriguez coordinated from the International Space Coordination Center, her team a microcosm of global collaboration. Linguists worked alongside quantum physicists. Game designers collaborated with military strategists. Artists provided insights into communication and perception that traditional military thinking would have overlooked. The Zorlaxian mothership loomed massive against the backdrop of space, a crystalline structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics. But human sensors had been studying its vulnerabilities for months. What appeared to be a solid, impenetrable vessel was actually a complex system with unexpected weak points. The first wave of attack was not a physical assault, but a sophisticated communication disruption. Teams from around the world had developed what they called cognitive interference protocols, a method of introducing complex, multi-layered information streams that would overwhelm the alien computational systems. Indigenous communication specialists from various global communities played a crucial role. Their traditional knowledge of complex communication systems, passed down through generations, provided unexpected strategic insights. A team of Aboriginal Australian researchers had developed communication techniques that could simultaneously convey multiple layers of meaning, creating a form of information warfare the Zorlaxians could not comprehend. Young space pilots, trained in advanced simulation environments, became the unexpected heroes. Their ability to make intuitive, split-second decisions proved far more effective than the rigid, predictable response patterns of the alien combat systems. Each pilot was more than an individual. They were part of a living, breathing collaborative network. The battle became a complex dance of technology and creativity. Human ships moved with an unpredictability that defied traditional combat logic. Where Zorlaxian vessels followed precise, mathematically calculated trajectories, human ships seemed to flow like water, adaptive, responsive, alive with possibility. Communication became the primary weapon. Human transmission signals carried layers of meaning, emotional context, cultural references, adaptive possibilities that the Zorlaxians could not begin to process. Each message was a complex puzzle, a form of psychological warfare that went far beyond traditional understanding of conflict. Energy research teams had prepared for this moment. The modified human ships could rapidly reconfigure their energy systems in ways the aliens had never anticipated. What seemed like a defensive maneuver could instantly transform into an offensive strategy, then back again, a fluidity of approach that completely destabilized the alien combat systems. Artists had become unexpected strategic contributors. Visual communication specialists had developed complex visual languages that could transmit strategic information in ways that would appear as random noise to the alien sensors. A team of musicians had created sound-based communication protocols that could carry multiple layers of strategic information. The battle was not just about physical confrontation. It was a clash of fundamental approaches to existence. The Zorlaxians represented a universe of precise calculation, of rigid systems and predictable outcomes. Humanity represented something entirely different, a living, breathing, constantly evolving approach to challenge and possibility. Dr. Rodriguez watched as the human defense fleet moved with a precision that was simultaneously mathematical and intuitive. Each ship was part of a larger organism, communicating and adapting in real time. Traditional military hierarchies had been replaced by a collaborative network that could make decisions faster than any centralized command structure. The Zorlaxian mothership began to show signs of systemic breakdown. The complex communication disruption protocols were having an unexpected effect. Their rigid computational systems could not process the multilayered, emotionally complex information streams that human forces were generating. As the battle reached its crescendo, something remarkable happened. The human defense was no longer just a military operation. It was a global collaborative effort that represented the best of human potential: creativity, adaptability, collective intelligence. The final moments of confrontation were not about destruction. They were about transformation. Humanity was showing the universe something fundamental about its nature: the ability to turn challenge into opportunity, limitation into possibility. The Zorlaxians had come expecting a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves confronting a species that could reimagine the very concept of conflict, of communication, of existence itself. Humanity was not just fighting. It was evolving. The aftermath of the invasion was not a simple celebration of victory, but a profound moment of global transformation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before an unprecedented gathering, representatives from every nation, alongside the few remaining Zorlaxian diplomatic observers, in the newly established Global Unity Center. The room itself was a testament to human creativity. Designed by architects from 12 different countries, the space blended technological innovation with cultural diversity. Indigenous artwork from Australia sat alongside quantum computing displays from Japan. Traditional textile designs from Peru were integrated with advanced communication network diagrams from Kenya. Surviving Zorlaxian observers struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. Their computational analysis could not process the fundamental nature of human victory. This was not a conquest achieved through superior firepower or technological dominance, but through something far more complex: a collaborative spirit that defied all their previous understanding of intelligent species. Scientific teams began the careful process of understanding the captured alien technologies. But this was not about reverse engineering or military advantage. It was a process of mutual understanding, of expanding the boundaries of knowledge. Research centers around the world worked collaboratively, sharing insights in real time, transforming the study of alien technology into a global collaborative effort. The invasion had fundamentally changed human society. Previous divisions of nationality, culture, and social status had dissolved. A young researcher from a small village in India could now collaborate directly with a senior scientist in Canada, their contributions valued equally. Educational systems were being completely reimagined, focusing on collaborative problem-solving, creative thinking, and global perspective. Indigenous knowledge systems, previously marginalized, became crucial to understanding complex ecological and technological challenges. Traditional tracking techniques, storytelling methods, and community problem-solving approaches were now recognized as sophisticated forms of intelligence. A group of Aboriginal elders worked alongside quantum physicists, their traditional knowledge providing unexpected insights into communication and adaptive systems. The global communication network that had been developed during the resistance became a permanent feature of human society. It was more than a technological achievement. It was a new form of collective intelligence. Artists, scientists, educators, and community leaders could now collaborate across previous boundaries with unprecedented ease. Dr. Rodriguez addressed the gathering, her words carefully chosen. What the Zorlaxians failed to understand is that human potential is not measured by current capabilities, but by our ability to imagine, to adapt, to grow. Our strength is not in individual brilliance, but in our capacity for collective creativity. The few remaining Zorlaxian observers attempted to process her words. Their computational systems struggled with the concept of collective intelligence that was not based on hierarchical control. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations, but never encountered a species that could transform challenge into opportunity with such remarkable speed and creativity. Educational broadcasts continued to explore the lessons of the invasion. Schools around the world developed new curricula that emphasized collaborative problem-solving, creative thinking, and global perspective. Children learned about the invasion not as a story of conflict, but as a moment of human potential. Scientific research took unprecedented directions. The technologies developed during the Resistance became foundations for solving global challenges. Energy research, communication systems, adaptive technologies, all were being reimagined with the lessons learned during the conflict. Cultural exchange programs flourished. Communities that had collaborated during the Resistance now sought to understand each other more deeply. A musician from Brazil might collaborate with a physicist from South Korea, their different perspectives creating entirely new forms of understanding. The captured alien technologies were not hoarded or weaponized. Instead, they became part of a global research initiative. Every nation, every community had access to the discoveries. The most advanced research center in the United States worked alongside small research groups in developing nations, sharing insights in real time. Young people became the primary architects of this new global society. Their ability to think collaboratively, to see beyond traditional boundaries, to transform challenges into opportunities, became the defining characteristic of human civilization. As the sun set on the Global Unity Center, Dr. Rodriguez looked out over the assembled representatives. The invasion had been more than a conflict. It had been a transformation, a moment when humanity discovered its true potential. The Zorlaxians had come expecting to conquer a planet. Instead, they had witnessed the birth of a new understanding of intelligence, of cooperation, of what it means to be a truly advanced civilization. Humanity was not just surviving, it was evolving.